Shalom, shalom, everybody. In the name of YHWH HaMashiach, all praises go to the Most High Yah. So I want to come on this channel, do another video. The first thing I want to do is apologize because the topic that we're dealing with today, sometimes there may be new individuals in the world coming to this page and trying to get some understanding through these different channels and things like that. And you might not have heard of this before. And so I just want to tell you that when you come to the knowledge of the truth, here's a few things that you have to remember. In the truth, you're going to find more strange doctrines. When you follow the true and living Elohim, that's just the way it is. You're going to have more adversity among people that believe, and you're going to find more strange doctrines. It's been like that since the time in Scripture. You see what Messiah dealt with. I want you to think about a few things. Jeremiah the prophet was speaking to believers, so-called believers. They persecuted him. Isaiah, Messiah, even Joseph and his brothers, the so-called believers, they tried to get him killed. So all throughout Scripture, the book of Acts, it's a few things you have to understand in this truth. In this truth, you're going to find some strange things, and then you're going to find some people that just don't like you, and they're believers. Now, this video isn't about them. This video is about dealing with a strange doctrine that has been spreading across the body of believers for at least 9 years now. When I first heard about it, at least. Probably been longer than that. But I heard about this 9 years ago, okay, back in 2013. And so the topic we're dealing with today is the Sabbath day is only 12 hours, okay? And we're going to show you in Scripture how that is incorrect, that is not true. And we're going to show you how we got to be careful, people. It don't matter. It's two reasons why people follow something that's not true. They're sincerely doing it. They don't know no better. In their understanding, they are doing it. You know, the Most High is merciful. Then you got the other person. They just rebellious. They're trying to make it easier for themselves. And they're going to twist Scripture to their own advantage on purpose. You have two different individuals. Whether you're a person that does it and you're sincere, and you're a person that doesn't and you're just being straight deceptive. Either one, it doesn't matter. We're going to show you in Scripture how we got to be careful confusing the creation order for the sake of doing something we think is right. We're going to show you in Scripture how this whole 12-hour Sabbath day, and it's going to be brief, it's incorrect. Not because I said so, not because it's my opinion. It's because the truth says so. Remember, the truth of Elohim, I'll say, the truth of Elohim does not submit to man. We submit to it. Yah does not change. We change. Scriptures say Yah don't change in Malachi 3. He also told us in Hebrews. YHWH even said YHWH is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So the Father is not changing. People change. Philosophies change. Minds change. And so we got to make sure we're keeping guard to that which is written. And anything that's strange, let's come in the spirit of meekness, and let's come and bring the message out for the people so they can understand. All right, it's that simple. So let's go to it and bring out that understanding. And I pray the information is helpful. All right, so all praises go to Yah through His Son. We're going to start off in John 16 and 13. Let's go there. All right. And we're going to show you how when you go throughout the Scripture, and this is going to be pretty short for the most part. It don't take anything long. You can pick a few passages and force the Sabbath day to be only 12 hours, okay? Because this is the teaching. The Sabbath day is only a 12-hour period in the daytime. There's no nighttime portion of it. It's only 12 hours, okay? Just keep this in mind. This is the teaching, all right? And we're going to show you in Scripture how that teaching holds no water when you go through the whole book to bring out the understanding. Then we're going to show you the origins of this teaching, all right? But the first thing we're going to start with is John 16:13. It says, hereby when He, the Spirit of truth, come, He will guide you into all truth. For He shall not speak of Himself, but whatsoever He shall hear, that should He speak. And I will show you things to come. He shall glorify me, for He shall receive of mine, and shall show it unto you. I want you to think about that. So it's the Spirit, it's the Most High Spirit that gives you all truth. And the Most High Spirit is not out here bringing out these strange doctrines. It's only one way, one faith, one Messiah, one truth. So if someone's bringing something out that's not from the truth, they're bringing out something in their own understanding. And this is what we got to be real careful with. If you are affirming and saying that the Spirit of truth told you the Sabbath is 12 hours, tread real softly. Because if you are incorrect, now there's a problem, okay? The book's going to show you how it's incorrect, not me. Let's keep going, though. All right, so the book says, so we talking about the Spirit of truth here. You got to be real careful saying the Most High Spirit showed us something that's probably not true. We got to be real careful. And in your sincerity, the Most High is merciful. And he brings his people in sincerity into the fullness. But if there's a spirit of rebellion, then you got to be aware. That's different. All right, anyway, John 11:9. This is kind of where the foundation of this understanding comes from. Start at verse 8. His disciples said to him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Yahushua answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbles not, because he sees the light of the world. But if any man walk in the night, he stumbles, because there is no light in him. This passage is dealing with him, his ministry, the work of his ministry. Then he speaks of the night as a man stumbled. He's not speaking against nighttime. He's using night as a metaphor of a person stumbling because the light is not there. This has nothing to do with making the daytime only 12 hours. Now, the daylight hours are 12 hours, but the 24-hour clock is 24 hours. And when the term day is used, it's always under the understanding of 24 hours, okay? And we're going to show you in scripture how this is the way Yah set it up, all right? This is not our opinion. But what happens is that passage when Messiah said, are there not 12 hours in a day? Those who like the understanding, they use that passage and say, see, the Sabbath is only 12 hours. Messiah said it. Messiah wasn't even talking about the Sabbath day. He was talking about his ministry. You know, a lot of times brothers and sisters come at the Christian church or the Catholic church for using Paul letters and making it mean something not true. And not realizing that you can do the same thing in the truth if you're not careful. All right, so we're going to show you how you got to be real careful. And then we're going to show some passages where the Most High set up a 24-hour clock and everything. Okay, it's that simple. This is what the Most High set up. I didn't set this up. The Most High created the heavens and the earth. And we're going to show you how this 12-hour Sabbath day thing is a snare and it's confusion, okay? And it's not from the spirit of Elohim. It comes from man. Let's show you. So now let's go to, if you're not careful coming against the order of Elohim, these are the things that you can mess with. Let's show you this so you know we're not making this up. Jeremiah 31, 35 and 36. So Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 35 and 36. Thus saith Yah, which giveth the sun for light by day, and ordinances of the moon and the stars for light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. Yah of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from me, before me, saith Yah, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. So when you start coming against Yah's order, how he set up things, you're coming against prophecies too. Keep this in mind. That's why this subject is being touched. So you got to be careful when you come against how the Most High set up things. All right, we got to be... The Most High set up the 24-hour clock. And you trying to come against that? Let's keep going. Jeremiah 33. Jeremiah 33, 19 to 22. And the word of Yah came to Jeremiah saying, Thus saith Yah, if you can break my covenant of day and my covenant of night, that there should not be night and day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites and the priests my ministers. So if you start messing with the covenant of day and night and start trying to confuse that, then David ain't got nobody sitting on his throne. His son. And we know who that is. That's going to be Yehoshua. So you got to understand, When you start trying to just put and force things in scripture and come against the order of Yah, how he set up creation, how he set up the way we're supposed to look at time, be real careful, because you're coming against a lot of different, it's not a little subject. It may seem simple, but it's much more complex and deep when you go into what you do when you start messing with this time. The Most High gave his spirit of truth. And you're saying the spirit of truth is coming against the time of Elohim? You gotta be real careful, people. So remember, the understanding is the Sabbath day is only 12 hours in the daytime. Once the 12 hours end, the Sabbath day is over. Keep this in mind. We talking about the holy Sabbath day. That should not be something easily taught. And there should be a higher conviction level if you mess with the holy Sabbath day. And what that also does is individuals that come to the truth, now they're confused. They're like, I'm going back to my mosque. I'm going back to worship Buddha. I'm going back to worship these false deities with the Christian church / Catholic church. When it comes to the Bloody Mary and all those, I'm going back to doing that because I don't trust. You guys argue too much. You argue about the name. You argue about how to keep a day. This is foolishness. I can't handle this. My children can't handle this. I'm going back to doing what I used to do. And now you cast a snare upon the ways of truth. That's why if you're sharing this word, you better make sure what you're saying is true. Don't just come on here and just talk because you're good at talking. Make sure there's a portion in you that's true, because we don't know everything, right? Don't be coming on these pages and just feeling good sharing lies. Just be real careful, man. You got to be... Anyway, let's show you how Yah gave the 24-hour clock. Genesis 1, verse 3. And Yah said, let there be light, and there was light. And Yah saw the light. It was good. And Yah divided the light from the darkness. And Yah called the light day, and darkness he called night. Evening and morning was the first day. So you see, the 24-hour clock started in the beginning. He said evening and morning is the first day. He's showing you that's the 24-hour clock, and he's saying that's the first day. A day itself is not just 12 hours alone. There's a daytime portion, and then there's a night portion. There's an evening portion of the day. Even when you go into the Hebrew of Yom, it don't just mean daytime portion. It can mean sunrise. It can mean sunset to sunset. It can mean a chronic of time or a segment of time. Perfect example of that. Daniel says, in the days of these kings. It's speaking of a context of a prophecy. The days of these kings. It's not speaking of an actual day. So the word day itself, you can't force it just to mean 12 hours when Messiah said what he said in John 11:9. Messiah was speaking of the daytime portion of the day. But the book says evening and morning was the first day. That's a 24-hour clock. Let's let him finish. Genesis 1:6 says, and Yah said, let there be firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Yah made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And Yah called the firmament heaven. Evening and morning were the second day. He wants you to understand the order of time. Evening and morning is the second day. Yes, day can mean daylight portion, but the overall 24-hour clock also means day. Evening and morning. The book says it. I'm not making this up, okay? So where do you get that the Sabbath is only 12 hours when you clearly see in Genesis, and this should shut the whole doctrine down? Evening and morning is the first day. How do you get that, people? Let's keep going, though. So you see, now you go to Genesis 2. Now when you see the word day, you understand it's a 24-hour clock. All throughout Genesis 1, he showed you that on purpose. He kept saying the same thing. He probably knew this was going to happen. So for each day, he says evening and morning is the first day. So you don't forget it. So you don't try to say it's not that. That makes up the day. So then you go to Genesis 2. Then he says, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all of the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, Yah ended the work which he had made. So now when you get to the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, now all of a sudden it's 12 hours. So Yah created everything throughout the 20, and he gave us a 24-hour clock, and he showed you. Now you go to Genesis 2, you make the word day mean 12 hours. How is this possible? Because this is man's philosophy. And we're going to show you in some of these passages, it doesn't hold weight when you read scripture. Okay, so right now we see, based on what y'all did, the word day is a 24-hour clock. Evening and morning is the first day. That's a 24-hour clock. It's that simple. It don't matter what you feel. It don't matter what you believe and think. The book is clear. Go to Genesis 8 now. Genesis 8, and we're going to start at verse 6. Now that we know that the clock is 24 hours, now we can read these passages clearly. Now we're going to try to read these passages also under the understanding of 12 hours only for a day, and you're going to see how it brings confusion to the whole scripture. Genesis 8 and 6. And it came to pass at the end, this is talking about Noah, and after the flood waters went down, and now he has to wait 40 days and things like that. And if you just confuse it with the word day and make it 12 hours, you're bringing confusion to this story. Genesis 8 and 6. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. So when you're reading that, you're not thinking in your mind, okay, so a day is only 12 hours. So how did he do that then? That's not even a 24-hour clock. The moon goes a certain way. The sun goes a certain way. So it was only 12 hours each day? Then that wouldn't be 40 days. Because the next day has to be 24 hours. You bring all types of confusion. So when you read this, you understand when it says 40 days, it's talking about what? A 24-hour clock. Let's keep going, people. This is where you can bring confusion and mess up the whole Bible with this understanding. This can really devastate some people's faith, man, if you ain't careful. Go to Numbers 12 and 14. This is when Miriam was speaking against Moses. The word day is used here as well. Just watch. And when you read it, you know it's speaking of 24 hours. You know it's not talking about 12 hours. Watch. And this is the Most High judging her now, because she did something she wasn't supposed to do. And Yah said to Moses, Numbers 12 and 14, if her father has spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days. And after that, let her be received in again. So when you read that, you're not thinking you're going to force that to mean 12 hours only each day. So at nighttime, she can come back in the camp because a day is only 12 hours. That's so much confusion. When you read that, evening and morning is the first day. You understand there's a 24-hour clock. So guess what? For 7 days, each day is 24 hours. Guess what? She can't be around. And if you're saying that's not true, you're saying that a day is only 12 hours. And so what she can do is, for 12 hours, she can't be around. Nighttime, she can. Because nighttime is not a day. If you use this and go through all the scriptures and see how the Most High uses the word day, including the Sabbath day, it's only when you go to the Sabbath day you force that to be 12 hours. All throughout the other passages, you can't do that. It holds no water. It confuses the stories. Because it said 40 days in Genesis 8. It say here 7 days she couldn't be around the camp. And you know that's not talking about just daytime. So we got to be real careful. We'll start confusing everybody, man. And we'll come against the covenants in the process if we're not careful. Sincerely do that as well. So we got to be real careful, people. Watch this. Leviticus 12, 1 and 2. And Yah spoke to Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived and bore a man child, then she should be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation of her infirmity, shall she be unclean. Listen, she's unclean 7 days. Not just in the daytime, she's unclean a 24-hour clock when she conceived. Based on your understanding, 12-hour Shabbat people, a day is only 12 hours. So, based on that, you read this and you're saying she's only unclean in the daylight hours, right? Nighttime don't count as a day. So she good. She's not unclean. But the book don't say that. They say she's unclean 7 days. That counts the nighttime. Because evening and morning is the first day. I'm going to go one more passage. Because this thing is so simple. You have to see this, people. If not, it's going to cause confusion when you read any story in Scripture. Now when you're reading the story in Scripture, it talks about day. Oh man, what is it really saying though? You're going to start being confused. Perfect example. Leviticus 15:19. If a woman have an issue and her issue is in her blood, and she'll be put apart 7 days, whosoever touches her, she'll be unclean until the evening. Look, she's going to be unclean 7 days. Okay? That woman was unclean 7 days. She had an issue of blood. She was on a period. The Most High, blood, there's a separation, because the Most High he's a health specialist. So he's the king of health. So he understands what's best for the body and for the woman and the man during that time. But he says 7 days. But according to your understanding, a day is only 12 hours. So guess what? According to your understanding, since a day is only 12 hours, she's unclean only in daylight hours. Nighttime, she good. Nighttime, she fine. She can come out at nighttime, because nighttime is not a day. Do you see how? Now I want you to, what I'm doing right now by the grace of Yah, go throughout the whole Bible, do a word search for day. And you're going to see that if you try to make things 12 hours, you're going to confuse all the stories in Scripture. I don't even know if I went to that passage or not, but in the book of Acts is another example. Let's go there for a second. I have this written down. You're going to confuse all the stories. You're not going to know what's going on. Look at this. Acts chapter 1. And let's go to verse 3. This is when before Messiah got resurrected back to the Father. Acts 1:3. To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion by many inflammable proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of things to pertain to the kingdom of Elohim. So based on your understanding, a day is only 12 hours. So it's not talking about a 24-hour clock. So he was only seen by them 12 hours in the daytime only. At nighttime, he disappeared somewhere. You see how you can confuse Scripture? The Most High made it simple, and he gave it in my spirit to bring it simple. Now go through all the passages where you think it's talking about a 12-hour clock. Go to your Exodus 16. We're not going over that today. Go to your other passages, and now read the whole book and understand the word yom. And you'll see you cannot do that in Scripture. Yah, in the beginning, gave us a 24-hour clock. Let's not confuse new people in the truth that come to it. We don't want them to run away. We want them to run to the loving arms of YHWH and receive his spirit. We don't want to confuse them off things like this. Now we understand there's going to be more confusion, because YHWH said when he comes back on the earth, will he find faith? That means each generation is going to deteriorate. That means when people deteriorate their behaviors, understanding starts to deteriorate. And when understanding starts to deteriorate, you're going to have more stranger doctrines than these. So guess what? It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. People understanding the word will be more diluted. Like I say, it's two people that usually understand it. It's a sincere person that really loves Elohim and walking his commandments. And they believe it. And guess what? They will eventually start saying that it's a 24-hour clock. And then you got the other group that just rebellious. And they know for sure in their heart, no, I'm only doing 12 hours. It's more convenient for my life. John 16:13. Think about that scripture. The Spirit gives you all truth. Look up the word in Hebrew what yom means. Look up the meaning and what it means. Go back to Genesis and see evening and morning is the first day. And go throughout the whole scripture and look at the word day. And force all those scriptures to mean only 12 hours. I guarantee you're going to be the most confused person on earth. Let Yah be true and every man be a liar. All praises go to Yah through his son, YHWH. May he be glorified always. I'm nothing but dust, and guess what? Most High leads us as well. He leads his people in his righteousness and his purity. We're servants. That's all we are. So all praises go to Yah through his son, YHWH. I pray the information was helpful. Shalom. Shalom.